Hey you! Today's video we are going to be talking about modal chord progressions and how you can get started on creating your own progression in any key and mode that you'd like. First, if you haven't seen my video on the 7 modes of the major scale, I highly recommend you to check that out. There will be a link to it down in the description box below, or there will be a card pop out in one of the corners up there. If you're unsure about all 7 modes of the major scale, and you don't know their shapes or what order the modes go in, I highly recommend you to check out that video first and then come back to this one. And also, if you're not subscribed and you occasionally watch my videos, please take the moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on post notification. It'll help me out a lot and I would greatly appreciate it. Now, let's get into today's video. To know what chord we can or can't use, we have to know our major chord formula. Let's check out the major chord progression formula. Alright, you'll notice that these Roman numerals, some of them have uppercase, some of them are lowercase, and one of them has a 0 or an O right next to it. An uppercase Roman numeral means it is a major, the lowercase Roman numerals means it's a minor, and the one with an O or a 0 right next to it, that is a diminished. Alright, so looking at the major chord progression formula, you have your major chord, then a minor chord, minor, and then major, major, and then minor, and then diminished. Today's video we're going to be sticking with A as our root. So an A Ionian or A major. Alright, so using that formula, we can assign each of these notes to its own Roman numeral and figure out our chord progressions there. Alright, so first chord we have A major. Second chord is B minor. Our third chord is a C sharp minor. Our fourth chord is D major. Fifth is E major. Then sixth is F sharp minor. And then we have our G sharp diminished. And diminished just has a flat fifth. So this is your diminished chord. Or you can just play it like that. And then next is A major. And the whole cycle pretty much restarts from there. Alright, so let's say you want to create a chord progression out of it. Your best bet is to start on the one chord and then end on the one chord, or make the whole chord progression want to resolve back to that one chord. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop of the progression of A major and then E major. And then I'm going to play the A Ionian scale over it, so you can kind of hear how the scale sounds over a Ionian chord progression. Alright, now let's play the A Ionian scale over it. Alright, now that one I was focusing on the root notes and the half steps. And that's what makes it stand out a little bit more and making it sound more like A Ionian. Alright. Now let's do Dorian. Now to get our Dorian chord progressions, all we need to do is shift the major chord progressions over just a little bit and get that first chord over onto the end of the formula. So the 2 turns into the first chord, the 3 turns into the second chord, and so on, so forth. Alright, so we're pretty much just shifting the chord progression formula by a chord, right? So we start off on a minor chord now, so it's A minor, and then B minor, C major, because in Dorian we have that flat third, alright, so, and then we have our D major, and then E minor, and then F sharp diminished, and then G major. If you make the root your home chord, and you make the whole chord progression want to resolve to that one chord, that's how you pretty much get your modal chord progression, right? So that could work. So I have a 1, then a 5, minor second, then a 4. So now let's hear how that sounds over the A Dorian scale. Now by focusing on the root and giving more of an emphasis on the minor third, you can make it sound more like a Dorian and not G Ionian, which is its parent mode. Now that we got Dorian, let's do Phrygian. And again, to get our Phrygian chord progression, all we need to do is get that Dorian chord progression formula and shift it to where we start on that second minor chord and end on that first minor chord like before. So we're just shifting the formula again. Alright, so we have our A minor, then A sharp major, and then C major. Then we have our D minor, then E diminished, and then we have our major, or F major, and then G minor. Alright, so let's make a chord progression out of this. Alright, so I'm going to start on the 1. Let's see. Now let's do Lydian. Now Lydian is probably my second favorite mode to play in, right behind pentatonics. So Lydian goes like, alright, and again we are going to be shifting that Phrygian chord progression formula and making our starting note or starting chord a major chord. Alright, so we're going to start with A major, then there's B major, and then C sharp minor, and then D sharp diminished, right, and then E major, then F sharp minor, and then G sharp minor. Alright, so let's make a chord progression out of it. Put it in a loop. Alright, now let's hear how that sounds over the A Lydian scale. And again, I was putting an emphasis on the root and the sharp 4, because the sharp 4 is pretty much the characteristic of the Lydian scale. You can get creative with this by adding a chord that is outside of the Lydian mode to add some more flavor in your progression, but I'm going to save that lesson for another day. I have a cheat sheet of all of the modes and their characteristic and their chord progressions available on my Patreon. So if you want to be my Patreon, head on over to my Patreon and you'll be able to sign up to a $1, $5, or $10 tier, and you'll have access to my backing tracks, tabs from guitar lessons, or cheat sheet from lesson videos like this. So I hope to see you on over to my Patreon, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. I'll see you guys in the next video.